So,
Okay, good morning. Thank you very much for inviting me to come here. I feel it's a big plus to uh, speak at this special minion. It's a very beautiful minion. It's really it's just coming here. Thank you. Um, I wanted to talk a little bit about the mitzvah of Bikurim, which is the first mitzvah in this week's Hebrew. Before we start talking about it, I just want to mention something. Everybody knows that this year has been an extremely difficult year for Klal Yisrael. We think about it, thousands of Yidden have been killed, and there's probably not a world that hasn't been affected by the tragedy of last year's Sukkot Torah. And I want to connect to Purim. Since the war started, since it was Torah, I've been zeichet to go to Israel many times, as Rabbi can testify. I've been to Israel a few times. I remember the first time I went after the war, I thought, what am I going to see? What are people going to look like? Everyone would be depressed and be crying. I have to say something encouraging to people you meet. And I met people on the plane. I meet people on the street. I met people, parents, carers, yeah. They're all low or some Rahman who were killed or wounded or was fighting in Gaza. I myself have two cousins that are fighting in Gaza, right? Yet you see people on the streets. It was such a shock to me, and I thought, you'd have to say something really encouraging to them. And they're all saying Am Yisrael Chai, B'yachad V'natzeach, and there's such a positive energy, bro. Just unbelievable to see. I don't know if anyone's been here since the war started. You've been? It's just unbelievable to see the courage they have. Where do you get this power? There's an old saying that Jews are like tea bags. You only see their strength when they're in hot water. Yeah, you've heard that one. Right. And then I know a very special Yid. I know many Yid like that. And a very special Yid is riddled with pain. And whenever you see him, I say to him, "How are you?" He says, "Baruch Hashem." And then he says, "Baruch Hashem," he has a joke to cheer you up. He didn't have a special koyach. If anybody remembers in the 1970s, there was two Ronnies, and they did a skit about, taking out insurance about becoming Jewish. Yeah. And he says, Jews are funny. Jews are funny. And when you think about our history, we've been through so much suffering, so much persecution, and we're always positive. Where did you get from? Where did you get it? So this week's Sedra starts, when it's a come to Eretz Yisrael. And Chazal tell us whenever the word Vahaya is used, it denotes Simcha. In other words, this Parsha, which we always read before Rosh Hashanah, to give us a big boost of simcha. The whole mitzvah of is to give us a big boost of simcha. So the question is, why is simcha? Why is Bikurim so strongly associated with simcha? Why is Bikurim strongly associated with joy? You look at the Mishnah or Perik Gimel in Bikurim, and you read about the ceremony of what happened when the Eden brought Bikurim. It was such a ceremony, and there were bands, and they decorated the baskets with gold, and they put olive branch on top of the person bringing the bikurim. And when you look at it, what was the Yid bringing to the base of Mikdash? He was just bringing a fig or a date, a little fruit, and they put it on a cushion, decorated it with gold, and there was marching bands and all sorts of things. Why was there such a fanfare about a mitzvah which seems so small, just a little tiny little mitzvah, just small fruit? Why is there such a lot of fanfare? And if you think about it, there were 24, there's 24 different gifts that we give to Kahanim. And some of them are really big. Some of them are shares of the bonus, the expensive meats. And then there's trauma and there's all sorts of things that can be very valuable. And you never see that there's such a fanfare with any other mitzvah. You just give it to the Kohen and that's that. So why about Bikurim is there so much fanfare? And then there's a medrash in Bereshit which says, this is really, really interesting. Medrash says, Bereshis Ora Elikim as Hashanah Ba'aretz. So the Quran was referred to as Rashis. Was Rashis the first? The Medrash says it was worth creating the whole world just for the mitzvah of the Quran. When you think about it, it's just a small little mitzvah, bring a tiny little fruit, and we make such a fuss about it. And it's so fundamental to Yiddishkeit, and it's so fundamental to the character of a Yid. And it's so important to the world that it's worth creating the world just for that. Now, if we this is we talked about First, at first I said, "You're Palestine. Family that Ammonites or Moabites can't marry you. Yeah, damn, there are still the only person, even after the 10th generation, they can't marry Advar, Kidwa, Assembly, or Maya, because they didn't come out and give you refreshments when you were at the shrine, right? And then the posse carries on. So it says they didn't give you refreshments, that's why you can't marry them. And also because they hired Bilam to curse you and try and annihilate you. Now imagine you say to somebody, I don't want you to be his friend because he didn't invite you to tea and biscuits. And also he tried to kill you. Isn't it a bit strange? Isn't it a bit strange, right? Then, uh, Someone and Moyav, we can't marry them because they didn't give us tea and biscuits, right? And if you think about it, we were in the middle. We had them on, we had the bear. We didn't need any refreshment. We didn't need lechem wine. We had our own lechem wine. We didn't need it. And because they didn't come out with lechem wine, we cannot marry them. Right? And then the Mitzri is so cruel that they put they cemented babies into walls. Says don't. So how does all this make sense? The Alshich says the answer is foundation of Yiddishkeit, the foundation of Judaism is Hakora Sapod, recognizing is gratitude, recognizing um, all the good we see from Hashem and from other people, right? So until now, let's go back to this episode, the Yidden were in the Midbar, and they were living miraculously off the man and off and the area they had water, they had sustenance without having to put any work into it. And it's a human nature that when you, and then they're going to go into Eretz Yisrael, where they're going to work the field. And it's human nature for a person to think, you know what, oh, I produced this beautiful fig tree. What a wonderful horticulturist I am. You may just think, I put the effort into it. It must be me, right? So the midst of the Quran comes to ingrain into us that despite the fact that you've done this work, yeah, it all comes from Hashem. And we mentioned how typical of the created world as a gift. And remember, even the smallest thing in life, even the tiniest little thing that Hashem gives you, it's a gift from Hashem. And all the work you put in was, how do you put it? It was just secondary to the main thing of yeah. Um, Rashi says at the beginning, Rashi says, well, now you can take the time, the whole, and Rashi's uses the word aim for you're not doing great. You're not good. The message of the Quran is we show gratitude even for the smallest thing we have. Yeah. And it says, "Adam Yoreh B'Tech there's the famous mashal. And somebody said that he had a dream. There was a million pounds worth of gold under a bridge. And he traveled very far away to the bridge. And then he meets a homeless person sleeping under the bridge. And he says, "Oh, I also had a dream last night. And there's a million pounds worth of gold coins. But it's in a house, and he said this guy's address. He realized there was a sign to go back to his house. The nimshal is that we sometimes in our lives we don't realize how much good we have in our lives. We constantly, it's human nature to focus on the bad rather than on the good. So a yid, where does the yid get power from? So the yid in that straw, they go through so much trauma and so much pain, but they're constantly focusing on the good Hashem's giving. Can you imagine, despite all that trauma and pain, they're dancing in the streets and saying, "I'm Shol Chai," because they've got Gratitude of time is ingrained in our psyche that we have. So if you go back to last week's Edra, the Ammon and Moav were descendants of Lot. And Lot was saved by Avraham Avinu, and he looked after Avraham Avinu. So the minimum they should have done was they should have remembered to come out and offer refreshments. Imagine someone saved your grandfather, you've got to go out and offer refreshments. And because they didn't do that, what happened was if somebody's not grateful, doesn't show gratitude, then they become. It was a side thing that they had to annihilate the Eden, yeah. Because if they would have had the gratitude to the Eden, and they had the gratitude to the Eden for what Abraham did to their grandfather, they would have come out and offered them refreshments, and it wouldn't have entered their minds to try and annihilate these people. Because it starts with a little small seed of ingratitude, and it becomes a big it becomes bigger to and so one of the words like son our mitzvah, saying that God I said that Ray was son our mitzvah. The mitzvah made us look bad. Right? So what God intend to do when they want to persecute Eden? We've got the BBC in England and Britain does a great job. In those days, they had the EBC, the Egyptian Broadcasting Company. You're right, they make us look bad. It's showing gratitude how Yosef Atzadik saved Mitzrayim and how the Eden brought the economy up. They started demonizing the Jews and dehumanizing them, and that's how we came to this problem. And yet, despite all that, because they'd offered us accommodation when we were stuck, when the African came down from Australia, despite all that nastiness and awfulness, Hashem says we mustn't forget the gratitude we have to them for for putting us up during the time when the African, it's a very short period of time. Once the Eden moved there and settled in, they lived in Goshen and they brought out the Egyptian economy. But during the time when there was the hunger, which only lasted for uh, months after the African, right? But just that it's for our lessons, for us to know. So, Ammon and Moab can't marry to the Jewish nation because they've got the middle of ingratitude. We can't reject the mitzvah because we have to have gratitude to even the smaller things, even despite the fact that they were really, really nice. If you look at our history, I mentioned it before. I don't think there's a nation in the world that's been so persecuted and and yet the Yid is always optimistic. Yidden are so optimistic. See, everybody, the Holocaust survivors, yeah. I don't know if anybody remembers, I remember wrong, we've discussed it a few times. The Klausenberger, the Karlover Rebbe, remember the Karlover? He came to Edinburgh. Oh, you remember he came to Edinburgh about 50 years? Yeah, that was as well, yeah, yeah, yeah. And he was a victim of Mengele. Mengele did all this tortured and mutilated by Mengele. And he hadn't, when he was a young man in the camps, it's unbelievable. You watch the videos of how he speaks and went through the positivity. If anybody saw him, did you ever see him without a smile? Remember him? No beard. Yeah, 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 yeah. Did you ever see him without a smile? He was riddled with pain. He was told, and he didn't use any anesthetic when Langley did the operations, and he knew he would never have a family. He knew he wasn't able to have children because the trans operation on him. And yet he was always so happy. He was actually standing. Um, there's a red section my Israel. There's a video. It's a very moving video. You can get it on YouTube. It's in the Brit. Uh, he said, Hashem, I've said Shema Yisrael. You've got another Shema Yisrael. I promise you that if you make a miracle and I'm saved, I'll bring you millions of Shema Yisraels. And he used to go around, he lived in Israel, go around all the army bases, say, he didn't know, hadn't said Shema, and he used to say Shema with them. There's tons and tons of videos. That was his promise to Hashem. He got saved at the last minute. And what motivated him? How did you have that optimism? There's so many things he promised Hashem. There's other things he promised if you look at the video. How did they get that optimism? Optimism because there's a saying, um, what's the difference between an optimist and a pessimist? Optimist says the glass is half full, and the pessimist says the glass is half empty. But they're both right. They're both right. What, what's the essential difference? So if you look at it, if you're standing at the petrol pump and you're filling up the car, then you're watching the pump. Oh, the tank's half full. But if you're driving to Scotland and you're watching the gauge go down, say, oh, the tank's half empty. What's the difference? Because when you're filling, when you're doing something positive, then it's always half full. You also do good. When it's negative, then when you're just drinking, so if you're pouring into the glass, then it's half full. Drinking, you can always pouring. You've always got that power. Yeah, you've always, even despite what we've been through, you've always got the power to overcome the negativity and the force you have. Daven Hashem always let me attend. Hashem should give strength to our people. Yeah, and Hashem Yivorach Hashem will bench us with peace. I'm going to finish up with one more. So, this Hashkif from one culture, look down from Nashemai. There's Vavorach is something bench the Eden. There's Sodom on the land of the South London, Eretz Yisrael. And then Sparkle was in Eretz over the Now, the first we say Hashkifa, the nearest translation to the word Hashkifa is gaze. Gaze. That's not usually a complimentary. Gazing is not usually looking in a complimentary way. There's like Yashkef, Hashem Stan, Hashem like gazed at stun. It's usually something denotes something negative. So why here when I am and we're saying look down from upstairs and bench the Eden, we should say should some other term. Why do you use the term gaze? What we're saying to Hashem is look down at the world today. Look at the world today. Look how all the other nations are just fighting and killing each other for no reason. You look at the Arabs, the organization, some of them supposed to be religious people. What they did on Simple Torah is beyond what even the worst animal would ever do. And they call themselves religious. They're doing it in the name of religious. They said their words. They say the A double L A H when they do these terrible, terrible, cruel acts and averas. They're tumana, disgusting averas. So say to the apes, gaze down at the world. Look at everybody else. Look what they're up to. And you look at the Eden. You look at us. You look at Israel. Everybody's just so working so hard. You look. It's just unbelievable when Israel went through such trauma of having such a high percentage of the population killed whole blood, and they're still trying to avoid civilian casualties in Gaza. Nobody appreciates that. And the Arabs, who are supposed to be religious, they constantly aim for civilians. That's what Shkifa means. Gaze down at the world, look at the way the guy are behaving, and then automatically Hashem will bench us and see that you're so different, you're so above all this, yeah? You're so positive. So in a nutshell, Yiddishkeit is all about positivity and other religions are all about negativity. And Hashem Shabbat is supposed to have Hashem Baruch peace in Israel, peace in the whole world, and Shemizercha to see Mashiach, and the rest of this year and then until next year to be a happy year for Klal Yisrael and to see only Shalom in the world. Right.
Amazing. Yeah.
Very much. Thank you so much. That was a nice positive note to.
Everybody.
No, but
Yeah, that's it. I wasn't.
Hey.
I remember when I was a kid.
Right. Okay. Thank you very much for that. I will turn off the Zoom and.